everybody, it's me again. This is my second video for today. I just have a lot that's been weighing on me to share. So I just hopefully this won't be as long as my first video earlier today. But this I've been just feeling a very strongly to share my testimony of how I came to Christ. My first two videos I had shared my testimony, but that was my testimony about Bible changes. This is my testimony how I came to Christ. And like I said, I'll try to kind of keep it as short as possible, but I don't want to leave any details out. And this, while it is my testimony, while I did live it, is God's story. Is His story. I don't really consider it mine. All glory to Him. It all goes to Him. But my testimony, it actually starts back when I was 4 years old. When I was 4 years old, I was molested. And of course, by someone I knew. That was very tough. Of course, I didn't fully understand what was going on at that time. I was only 4 years old, but I know God. I mean, at the time I didn't understand it, but now looking back, of course, I know God was He was instructing me. He was leading me. He was showing me and telling me how I should go about it, and who I should tell and shouldn't tell. And He just laid it on me so heavy. And I'm so grateful He did. It all worked out the way it was supposed to. But fast forwarding, just a couple years, actually about a year or so, and actually during that time, let me back it up. During that time, you have to forgive me because I'm trying really hard not to leave any details out. Because this is God's story, and I want to be sure to include everything, because it's extremely important to me. But around that same time, I was also dealing with my mom was married to me and my two brothers' stepfather at the time, and we had experienced, there was a lot of drinking and nights of getting drunk with them, and there was a lot of physical abuse and emotional and just all kinds of abuse. And we watched our mom get abused, and it was really tough. But by the grace of God, she got out of it. Thank God. And we started moving on with our lives. And a few years fast forwarding a few years, we ended up moving away from that, and out of that town we were in at that time. And when we finally got settled and stuff, and a few years went by, my mom, she's a single mom of 3 kids, and God has blessed her with getting through it, and I thank Him for it. But I wanted to actually be. I wanted to be a preacher. I just she had taken us to church and stuff, and I just loved it. I remember I know now I didn't quite understand it then because I was still so young. I was only probably about 8, 9 years old, but I remember I felt so happy, just so drawn to God, and I just wanted to get His word out there, and I even practiced. I put on my own little shows with my dolls and whatnot, and I just I just would act like I was preaching to an audience, an actual audience, and just rehearsing it over and over and over, and I just imagined in my head and was pretending that so many people were coming to the Lord, and I was getting so excited, and I know it was the Holy Spirit in me, and it was so amazing, and I just felt so drawn to Him, and that was great because after what I had actually already endured, and to top it all off, my earthly father was not in my life. He hadn't been in my life for quite a while. And the only actual man in my life that I was close to, that I trusted, and that was my maternal grandfather. I love him so much, and I still do. May you rest in peace. He was more like a father to me than anybody else, even though he was my grandfather. I looked up to him, and he taught me a lot. He taught me a lot about God. He taught me about Scripture along with my mom, and I remember hearing Bible stories, and my mom reading Bible stories, and it was from she's always read from the King James Version, and then of course being in youth group, just they read from different versions. Honestly, I can't really remember what versions they used in the youth group, but I just remember stories, and it just really impacted my life and just stuck. And it was Bible passages that I had on my heart and my head, always held near and dear, and it taught me about who God really is. And I even remember my mom used to sing in the choir at a church, and me and my brothers would have to sit there in a pew while she practiced, because we were too young to stay home by ourselves. And we'd get in trouble because we would act up all the time. But during the actual service and her up there singing, I remember that the Holy Spirit just flooding me. I didn't understand it at the time what was going on, but I remember just breaking down and crying. I was crying so hard, and I didn't know why. I didn't understand it. I didn't know why. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't understand it, and then some of the members of the church came over. Some of the ladies came over and sat next to me. They noticed I was crying, and they asked me what was wrong, and I told them I didn't know. I didn't know. But I was crying. I was weeping, crying so hard. And you gotta keep in mind, here I am. I'm like 9, 10, 11 years old. I can't remember exactly how old I was, but I was crying so hard. So hard. And that is something I won't ever forget either. And moving on a few years, a little bit down the road, as I said, I love my grandpa. Not to say I looked at him as a god. I didn't. But I thought he was really something special. I thought that he was an angel. That, you know, but you gotta remember, I was little, I was young, and I just thought that I knew he could die, but I just really, he never really set in that he could actually really for real die. And I just thought he walked on water with Jesus. I thought he had wings and a halo. And I thought God would never take him from me. He wouldn't rip my grandfather from us. He was the glue to our family. And this is, you know, this is what I was thinking. I'm like, he's all I have. He's all I have when it comes to the male side. He's all I got. Even though I had uncles and stuff, and I was the only granddaughter out of 8 grandchildren, my grandfather was I felt like he was the only earthly male I had. And I thought God would not take him away from me. Well, when I was 12, he passed. And he always told us that it was about a year before he died, a little over a year before he died, before he passed away, that he was visited, and I believe it in a dream. He was visited by an angel who told him that he would pass on his birthday. And I didn't want to believe that. I'm just like, okay, yeah, whatever. I'm like, okay. But I just told him, I'm just thinking, okay, this is, you know, this ain't gonna happen for a really, really long time. Well, my birthday, excuse me, oh, sorry, my birthday, sorry, my birthday is on July 1st. His birthday is July 11th. And it was that year, 10 days after my birthday, on his birthday, he passed. And that just completely turned my world completely upside down. And it made me question so much. And I mean, to tell you how I felt about my grandfather, I didn't question God really when I was molested. I didn't question really about that, but when my grandfather died, I questioned him. I couldn't understand why he would allow that. I didn't understand. I couldn't comprehend why he would even do that. I thought it was a cruel thing. But I never, even though I was mad at God for doing that, I never really left God. I was still with God. I was still clinging to God. I was still clinging to Him. And as time went by, I was being healed. He was healing me. Well then, when I was 13, my life started turning upside down again. And from 13 to 15, I was raped. For 2 years, I was raped. And I couldn't understand why God would allow that. If He loved me so much, why would He allow that? I didn't understand it. I couldn't comprehend why He would allow that. I couldn't understand it. I was so confused. I was so angry. I was so bitter. And things really just started changing for me. When I turned 15, I started drinking, trying out drugs, cutting. I was in a depression. I became very promiscuous. I just wanted love. I wanted love from a male. It didn't matter really who. I just wanted, what kind. I just wanted love. I wanted love. I wanted to know what it was like to feel love from a human male. Or actually, at that time, really any male. Because I felt abandoned even by God. My father wasn't there. God, I felt like God wasn't there. My grandpa died. I was being raped. And it wasn't the first time that my innocence was taken from me. I just wanted to feel love, and I also didn't want to feel the pain, but yet I was numb. I had so much going on inside that I didn't know how to deal with it. I just didn't want to feel the pain anymore. But yet I cut for two reasons. Let me take that back. For 3 reasons. I cut, number one, and it's going to sound very contradicting, but this is, anyone who's ever dealt with any of this would understand and would know exactly what I'm talking about. But I cut so I could feel, because I was numb. It's like I had escaped emotionally and mentally, but at the same time I also cut so I could feel other than what I was feeling emotionally. I could feel something else. It was an escape for me. And I also cut because that was one of the only things I had control over. I also developed an eating disorder. I was anorexic. I didn't know. I couldn't comprehend how to deal with all that was going on. I felt like Satan was in my house and I didn't know how to escape. I felt like Satan was in my school and I didn't know how to escape. I felt like Satan was at my neighbor's and I didn't know how to escape. I felt like Satan was everywhere and I didn't know how to escape. I was bullied so bad on top of everything. I was bullied. Not just by those at school. I was bullied so bad. My own home. My own family. Not my mom. Not my mom. My own family. I finally started becoming suicidal. I started thinking of all kinds of ways I could kill myself. So I got tired of feeling the way I was feeling. I got tired of it. And I felt so hated. And apparently everybody hated me. Even God hated me. Or else why would he allow what was happening to me to happen to me? Why would he allow it if he really loved me? I felt abandoned by him. I even hated him so much at the time. I was so angry with him. I'd sit there and I think I could take a bunch of pills. I could do it that way. But then thought would occur to me. I don't like taking pills. I never have really liked taking pills, and I just couldn't see me taking a bunch of pills, and I didn't want to risk gagging and choking on them. And the feeling of being sick if it didn't work, and maybe, process, how would that work, right before I die, I probably end up being sick, and it didn't work out. So, and then I thought, well, I could cut myself. I could cut, I'm a cutter, so I could slice my own wrist. Do it that way. But ironically enough, I didn't do it because I had fear of the pain. Can you believe that? Pain from cutting. I was a cutter. And I didn't want to feel the pain. And I also didn't want to leave a mess for my mom. We didn't have no guns. And I was scared of guns anyway. So, I mean, my oldest brother had a gun, but I mean, I didn't. Like I said, I was scared of guns, so I didn't even think about that. I'm like, no. That was just, no. And I thought of hanging. But I didn't want to risk choking and feeling the pain of breaking my neck and not dying right away. Even very briefly crossed my mind about jumping off a high point. But I'm scared of heights. So, that didn't quite work out. None of it quite worked out, thank God. So, I tried running away. I ran away, thinking I could escape. I didn't get too far, thank God. My mom found me. Actually, a friend of mine, her parents, I ran away with her, but her parents had found us and brought us back home, and it was the next day. Like I said, we didn't get very far. But I've gone through it all. I've had anxiety, depression, eating disorder. I was a cutter. I dabbled in drugs, drinking. I got love just about anywhere I could from guys. I was chasing after something. I wasn't able to find it. I was so broken. And then when I got back home after running away, we ended up, as a matter of fact, my mom was in the process of packing up and moving. So we ended up moving away from that town, and we started anew. And I had calmed down. I did calm down, but it didn't take away the pain. And I still went back and forth with my eating disorder, which my mom didn't know anything about. I hid it quite well. So I'm thinking. But I was still dealing with all these emotions and demons that have crept into my life. Feeling worthless, unwanted, hated. Like I should have never been born. Used and abused. Well, when I turned 19, I met my first ex-husband, my son's father. I met him shortly after I met him. I married him. I mean, on our honeymoon, I ended up pregnant with my son. And shortly after he was born, got a divorce. But in our marriage, it was not good at all. He was abusive. I suffered every kind of abuse in that marriage and my next marriage, my other marriage. I've been married twice. Suffered every abuse, every kind of abuse in both marriages. So if I didn't feel bad before, I really felt bad then. I was just looking for love in all the wrong places. And still feeling unworthy, still feeling like God didn't love me, still feeling like He hated me, still feeling like He deserted me, still feeling like He didn't want nothing to do with me. Like He even made a mistake in creating me. I had my daughter 5 years after my son was born, and that was a one-night stander. Again, drinking, doing things I shouldn't be doing, but I don't ever regret her. She is a treasured blessing from God. Both of my children are, and I love them so much, and I thank God every day for them. But then, after divorcing my second husband, I met being a single mom for a while, I met my ex-boyfriend, and our relationship wasn't, I mean, it was a lot better than the other two, but it still wasn't the greatest. There was still some problems there, and there was still some abuse in that relationship, just nothing like the other two. But got tired. I just got tired. Seemed like the harder I tried to make ends meet, the harder I tried to be a good mom, the harder I tried to be a good daughter, to be a good girlfriend, to be a good employee, to be everything that I wanted to be, the more I failed. Or the more I felt like I failed. I couldn't make ends meet. No matter how much money I made, it was like I was being blessed with the money I needed. Then something big would pop up, and I wouldn't have the money, and I was struggling. I was struggling so much financially, emotionally, and in all this time, I had my biological father just periodically pop in and out of my life, trying to get back in my life. And there, right before I was saved, when I was with my ex, who now we are actually kind of friends. Not friends that you go out and hang out with, but friends where we can call on one another. Me and my ex-boyfriend. So I mean, it didn't really end on a bad note per se. So that's definitely a blessing, and I thank God for that. But he's not saved, by the way. I didn't go that route. I wouldn't really date somebody who was saved. I was ready to settle down. But like I said, my biological dad was my human dad. He was in and out of my life, and he was in my life for a while when I was with my ex-boyfriend. And just some things just cropped up, and it just got to the point where pretty much he's not in my life now. I feel like God removed him for reasons that don't reasons that it's just not good right now. Now's not the timing. But I'm okay with that. I mean, I've made peace with that. But and I've always had a very honest relationship with God, even through all of this. I've always had a very honest relationship with him. I've yelled at him many times. And when my daughter was a baby, she ended up getting very, very sick. And she was in and out of the hospital many, many times. The poor baby girl, she's been through, she had gone through more things in a short time. Like when she was a year and a half, going up to a year and a half, that most people do in their entire lives, living to 100 years old. So she had gone through a whole lot, and I finally got to a point where I couldn't hardly take it anymore emotionally and stuff. I was becoming drained, and I got really angry at God, and I asked him, I said, will you please don't take my baby away from me? How are you going to give her to me and then take her away? And I told him, I said, I understand that he, I told him that I understand that he is in control of everything. And if he wanted to take her back, he could do that. He had the authority to do that. He had the power to do that. And I understood that. But I told him, I said, but she's my baby girl. Why? And after everything I've gone through, why would he take her from me? Why would this be one more thing that he would allow happen to me? And because she wasn't in good shape. She had so many specialists on her, and specialists and the doctors in the hospital, nobody knew if she would make it. And I told God, I said, will you please just save my baby? Will you please save her and make her like new. Please. And I remember it was the first time I ever truly heard from God, and I will never forget this. I heard him ask me, will you come to me? And I knew at that moment that I had a decision to make. I mean, it was almost like he was saying, there's a possibility that if you come to me, I will save her. If you don't, it might not happen. And I thought about it. Honestly, I don't know how long it felt like a while, but it was probably only about maybe a minute, if that. But I thought about it, and I finally told him. I said, I can't. If I can't come to you wholeheartedly, 100%, then I can't come to you at all. I can't do it now. I'm so sorry. If that means I lose my little girl, then so be it. But I can't lie to you because you know it all. I'm asking you to please have mercy and heal her. And I told him, I said, not now. I will in the future. I promise you I will in the future, but I can't right now. My heart's not in it completely. And it was literally days later. She started improving. I mean, I was told she may not make it. She may never. I was told that she would never walk. Never walk. I was told that she would not make it to 18. She would die before that. But God completely healed her. He completely healed her, and she was walking, and she was eating, she was talking, and she got caught up just like that. He completely healed my baby girl. It was because I was honest with him and with myself. And fast forwarding it to when me and my ex were together, I was just in a bad place. I was struggling. I felt like I was in this hole and I couldn't get out. I was in this hole full of mud, full of wet mud, and the more I tried to climb, the more mud I was putting into it, and the more it slipped down, and I just felt like I was so stuck in the muck and mire that I could not get out. And the harder I tried, the worse it got. And I just remembered all this time his scripture of who he was, of who he is. And finally, I told him, I broke down and I prayed to him. I told him, I said, as I was working with my ex-boyfriend at the time, and he had a bread route, but I was sitting in my car in front of the store, and it was the beginning of our work day, and I told God, I said, I don't know what you from me? What is it you want from me? Please help me. You know I need help. What is it you want from me? Just tell me what you want and I will do it. Just tell me what you want and I will do it. No matter what it is, I will do it. Just please help me. I can't do this without you. You know that. And it was a short prayer. And I calmed myself down and I walked into the store. And as soon as I walked through the store, you walk through 2 sets of double doors, and there was this door, this black door that has no knob, no nothing. Don't even know where it leads to, don't know what's behind it, don't see any doors on the inside of the store and it leads to it or nothing. But on 3 separate occasions, when I was by myself, and as soon as I walked and got right side by side, right next to this door, I heard, and it scared me. I admit it, I jumped. It scared me. And I didn't realize it at the time. And so, I mean, within a week of me saying that prayer, I had been saved, and I went to church for the first time in a long time. And oh, sorry. I gave my life over to Christ wholeheartedly. I can promise you. But I started reading in the Bible. I got a Bible and I started reading it, and I came across, I didn't realize it at the time when I was reading it, but later on I realized that passage where Jesus says that He stands at the door of our hearts and He knocks. And if we hear it and we answer it, He will come in. I just never realized it was done literally. And I realized at that moment that was Jesus knocking. It was 3 sets of 3 knocks. Plain as day. It was only when I was there by myself. It was amazing. But I realized He showed me and He taught me that He was there the entire time I went through everything. He never once abandoned me. He was there when I was thinking suicidal thoughts. He's the one that put those thoughts in my mind that, no, I didn't, I was scared of, bleeding all over the place and then pain and all this. He stopped me. It was a spiritual warfare the entire time. And He made me realize that I had to go through everything to get as strong as I was for the battle I was about to endure and fight. And it took me 40 years to come to Christ wholeheartedly. And I've been saved for almost 3 years. And I thank Him each and every day. He's got me. He's my Savior. He's my rock. He's my fortress. He's my everything. And I love Him so much. And I want to tell you all, no matter what you're going through, He's there. He has never abandoned you. I know the hurt. I know the pain. I know the fear. And I was so scared of the enemy. So scared of Satan. But now, since I'm God's child, I'm not scared anymore. Even though he tries, I'm not scared anymore. Because I know I have Him right here. He's in me. And He's everything to me. I just wanted to share my testimony. How I came to Christ. And I thank you for watching. Much love. God